fantasy, caught in a landslide, no escape from reality.
Okay, so for the most part, the last couple of issues of All New Fake Wolverine, I've been pretty much singing its praises, you know, other than the fact that, you know, this is not the real Wolverine. It's been okay, but I take all that back now, because this issue made me just, at some points, laugh, and at other points feel really sad for what has become of this series. This is not Wolverine. She does not act like Wolverine. She's not Wolverine. She's literally a fake Wolverine. Literally. She was made as a clone to Wolverine. And so for some reason she's Wolverine, even though you should really just call this X-23. So you see this cover? You see this cover here where she's got bone claws all of a sudden now, and she had metal claws before, and the Miramasa sword cuts them all to pieces? Yeah, that doesn't happen. So let's get on inside this cover here. Also, do you notice on the cover, let's go back to the cover, do you notice on the cover she has no boobs, and that her face looks like some kind of ghoul or something? Yeah. Anyway, so the writer is Tom Taylor, the artist is Juan Cabal, and the colorist is Nolan Woodard. And I don't know what is worse, the art or the story in this book. But we're now on Orphans of X, part 4, of the story right now. So we start out the first page here, and we have these little snippets, and it looks like DNA and different little honeycombs and story, as it's telling the story here. They take the Miramasa blade, the bits of it, melt it down, and turn it into bullets. And these are two of the scientists here, and I guess they're husband and wife. And he says, "It's bonded. We did it." She said, "You did it." And he said, "We can really do this. We can end them." And then he tells her, "I love you." And she says, "I know." Really? You're not Han Solo. And so then he says, "Now we hunt them." So basically, the crew has decided, since they're on the run, that now would be a good time to go to the beach. So they're sitting there on the beach, and so far, Dakin has been punked repeatedly in this story. And it's hilarious because Dakin should not even be on this group. He is a psychopath. He's always been a psychopath. He's a villain. He should not be in this group. But for some reason, he's in this group. And not only that, I'll show you in just a second what else irks me. But so X-23 says, "Hey, we need to go to Madripoor. You know, we need to see the X-Men." And they said, you know, basically it's the only place we can hide from the Orphans of X. Is they have a weapon now that can kill us. We have to be very, you know, we have to be very careful. And then he had this moment here where X-23 is doubting herself. She still thinks herself a killer, even though the people that made her do the killing. I thought she'd already dealt with this. I don't know why she's still talking about it, but here we go. And then the girl that's with her says, "What about all the lives you saved? What about me? I was kidnapped, kept in a basement by a madman. Without you, I would have died there or worse." And she said, "Every breath I take is because of you. I owe you my life, and thousands of others do too." And I was like, okay, that's a cool little sentiment. You know, it might boost her up a little bit. And then we immediately cut to this page here. And what in the world is wrong with that girl's face? Now, I know it looks like a man because this person cannot draw women. It gives them a broad chin and a man's haircut. But it says, "What are we running from?" And that's when she tells the other person, you know, it's a blade that can kill us mutants and blah, blah, blah. And I just can't get over that art. That's so terrible. And then we have Dakin there. Dakin had torn up clothes because he was running from the Orphans of X. They'd shot him up, cut off his arm, all this kind of stuff. And so they give him some of their clothes, and he's literally wearing a pink sweatshirt and pink sweatpants with Strong Girl on it. This is not cool, people. It's not funny. It's stupid. It would have been okay if he had changed the shirt out, but you've got him in the weird sweatpants with his crotch bulging out. It's so stupid. But anyway, you know, they have to have him wearing that because he's the gay bi character, and he has to, you know, we have to constantly let you know that. But for some reason on here, they have him as the tough Dakin, but he's always get punked, which makes no sense. And then he tells them, "Hey, Laura, I hear something." And then at that point, that's when the helicopters show up, and it's obviously it's the Orphans of X. They have painted their emblem all over the side of the helicopter for some reason, because you know that's cool. And then she says, "They found us. Run, run! Get to the car! Get to the!" And then they shoot a missile off at the cars. And then that's when the bad guys decide that now is the time to load my weapon right now. And they load it and shoot at him, and they hit Dakin, of course, because Dakin is punked in every issue. And he falls down. He says, "It went straight through me, through everything." And that means, you know, through the adamantium and everything. And that's when they said, "Gabby, find the bullet. Get the bullet out of the sand. We need it." And so she gets it, and then they pick up X-23 just picks up Dakin like he's nothing. And I didn't know, she doesn't have super strength, does she? I thought she just had super regenerative powers. But she picks up Dakin and carries her on her shoulders like he's nothing. And then they said, you know, "There's something. Let's go, let's go." And then that's when the X-Men X-Wing shows up. And they get in it, climb aboard, take off. There's barely a dogfight at all. Nothing happens. They get away. And then they're tending to Dakin, and Dakin's crying like a little, you know what. And that's when they say, you know, "Keep pressure on him, keep pressuring it." And they said, "Why isn't the wound healing?" And she gets the bullet out of her pocket, and they do a lot better job of writing Gabby in this issue. I'll say that. They do a lot better job of writing her in this issue because she talks like a child. But here's the thing. Look at X-23 holding the bullet, or wanting the bullet. She has no boobs at all. She doesn't even have a chest. Like, they give her these weird grandma boobs that are down in her midsection. What in the world, people? So then she realizes the bullet is a, you know, Miramasa blade. So she has a cut around Dakin's wound so that it will heal. She has a cut around where the bullet has touched him. So then he's screaming in pain. He's hurt. And so now they're sitting there letting him heal. And the blonde-headed friend, she has Dakin, you know, tending to him. And they start to have kind of like a little moment there. And Dakin's like, you know, "As a general rule, I try not to shoot up and shoot my family members when I'm trying to make a good first impression." And he does this little glint smile, you know. And I was like, that would have been a very interesting story if he like ended up hitting it off with a friend. Because, you know, then that would be kind of strange, because he ends up being a psychopath and all this kind of stuff. But, you know, X-23 shoots that in the foot because she says, you know, "Take your charming smile and shoot it back into your face," or shove it back in your face. And that's when it said, "Hey, you know, we've got to go somewhere else. We've got a new destination." And then they said, "Well, there's how we're going to, you know, change, how are we going to fly there? There's no pilot. There's nobody on the plane." And that's when this voice says, "I am here." And then that's when the little hologram pops up and says, "I am Danger." And then little Gabby runs up to it and says, "Your name is Danger? Like Danger is my middle name thing?" And it says, "Danger is my only name." And she's like, "Oh, that's awesome." And then she says, and then we get this goofiest face ever. This person cannot draw people. They can't draw women or children. He can draw Dakin pretty good, but he can't draw women or children. Give him this goofy looking face. And says, that's it. I just can't be Gabby anymore. I need a hero name." And then that's when Dakin just pops up and says, "Honey Badger." And it says, "Huh?" He says, "Your name, Honey Badger." And they says, "Why?" He says, "Because you're sweet and you have claws." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." And then Gabby's sister, she's like, or X-23 says, and then Gabby pops up and says, "Perfect." And, you know, this could have been funny, but they have to they can't stick the landing on anything because we have all these background images of the old Wolverine comics, but Gabby has been implanted in them, and that could have been so funny. But then you draw her like a weird Chucky doll on the covers where it's like a combination between Logan and Gabby. What the heck, people? Just draw Gabby in the poses. That would have been funny. I mean, what are y'all thinking? But anyway, we go to the next page. They're in Tokyo now. We get these generic shots of Tokyo that are indistinguishable between anything else except for Mount Fuji. And so they go to the sewers and decide that, you know, we have to travel by sewer. And she says, we couldn't take our shiny sentient jet wherever we have to go. And they said, well, they've been ahead of us every step of the way, so they may have access to satellite technology and CCTV, because as we know, the past issues, they actually have members of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the other governments involved in the Orphans of X. So that's when Gabby says, oh, we can wear disguises too. And she says, I'll be Fuller Ramsey, fighting a constant struggle with artistic expression against my parents who want to join the family law firm. And that's when Dakin says, we don't need backstories. And that's when she says, don't you try to suppress Fuller's natural storytelling ability. Uncle Ramsey tried to do that, and we all remember how awkward the family dinner ended. And they're just like, what? And then she says, they said, so where are we traveling to through this picturesque sewers of Japan? It says, we're going to the source. We're going to Miramasa. And so then they show up and they've got the funniest costumes on I've ever seen. Like, this made me laugh so hard. I was like, can they wear these costumes for the rest of the issue? But they show up and Miramasa is there with his soldiers, and it says, she says, we're not looking for trouble. We're here to see your master. And that's when the dude takes his mask off, and they draw the little Wolverine here. The little Wolverine animal here, and it looks like a dog. Like, that's not how Wolverine looks. Draw a Wolverine. That looks like a chow chow dog. Get your act together. But then he says, he takes off his mask and he says, you know, that's me, I'm Miramasa, who are you? And it says, Miramasa, my name is Laura Kinney. And then Gabby says, and I am Fleur Rams. And she says, this is Gabby. And then it says, I'm Dakin. And that's when Miramasa kind of perks up and says, oh, I know you. What are you doing here? And then that's when X-23 says, can we come inside? It's not safe for us in the open. My aunt and cousin need rest. And then she says, we have something to show you as well. So then they go inside, and for some reason they have X-Men outfits now. I guess they got them off the plane, but they didn't really explain that. And he says, yes, I made this, but this is a perversion of what I've crafted. They intended to shoot you with the with the soul of your father. And I was like, oh, that's pretty deep. And she said, you made this. How do we face it? And he says, you cannot face this. You can leave the world behind, hide, or you can die. And then that's when Dakin's like, there's nothing that you can counteract with what you've created. He said, there was. Your father was full of rage. I was not going to leave myself unprotected. There are many who feel I am mad, but I am not stupid. I made the ultimate weapon. I also made something to defend against it. And that's when he pops up with this shield. He says, I made this in secret. I used parts of Logan he barely acknowledged at the time. And he says, but there's a problem with it. And Dakin's like, duh, it's a shield. We'll just shoot around it. And that's when he says, I could not create something to protect you all, but one of you perhaps. It would require sacrifice from all of you. And then that's when Gabby says, you know, we can do that. And then, you know, Dakin's like, well, I'm already having problems. You know, I can't heal my arm right now. And then that's when Muramasa gives him the classic sensei answer of, it's your head, not your arm. It's your guilt. Your father died. You didn't stop it. Before I take more from you, you will meditate. And that's where I didn't really understand that, because I was like, Dakin doesn't really like his dad. I can't remember how Dakin came back, but I always liked the classic story of Dakin hating his father. I would whether he worked with the Orphans of X or something. But then that's when we get this pretty cool shot here of a lotus, and We've got Dakin in the middle meditating. We show all the different stages of healing, which was kind of cool. And then after that, we show him days later, and he's with Gabby and the rest of them in their little Japanese outfits. And Gabby just looks at his arm, which is now fully tattooed again, and says, so do you just keep one tattooist like permanently employed, or? And that was funny, but I wish that, you know, one of the other ones have said that, because it just sounds too intelligent for Gabby to have said. You know, she's a kid, but you know, it was still kind of funny. And that Miramasa said, I will need to take a part of each of you. This will take time, and it will hurt you. And Gabby said, well, I don't feel pain. And he said, nevertheless, this will hurt. So as he starts to take it, she starts crying out in agony. And then we get back to a generic Orphans X hallway, and they've gathered 3 guns together with bullets, and then they get in front of the entire, I guess, Orphan X like community. And she says, all of you, we don't need to hide from them anymore. Let them see the faces of their victims. And they pull their masks off, and some of them are injured. Some of them are family members that maybe have lost somebody from the X-Men. And it says, Fatima, you sure? It says, we voted. And then we get, oh my God, another dark-skinned Muslim in these comic books with the deal on her, with the hijab on her head. I'm just like, you know, Muslims are of all colors, right? You know that Muslim is a religion and not a ethnicity. Could you be more idiotic? But anyway, so we had the 3 people stand there. They give them the guns, and then they have the 3 prisoners over there, and it says remove their hoods. And then from that point, we see that it's actually Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, and Logan. And I was like, uh-oh, that sucks. But here's the thing, though. You would never capture them. If you can't capture X-23 and her little posse, you could not capture Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, and Logan. Have you seen Logan fight in any of these other comic books? He's just as strong as he was when he was young. There's basically no... In Old Man Logan, he was affected, but now they just write him like he's invincible all over again. And Sabretooth and Lady Deathstrike, come on. Lady Deathstrike has almost killed Wolverine several times. You're not going to stop. You're not going to catch them. So this is very unrealistic. So anyway, she says, there are too many of you to call this mutation. This is an evolution. We get this classic... It's a conversation all over again that you're too dangerous to leave alive, blah, blah, blah. And Logan says, just get it over with. And she says, fine. And then they blow their brains out. And that's where the issue ends. And I'm just sitting here like, good job. You just killed the 3 most interesting characters on the whole X-Force team. I mean, this wouldn't happen, people. So either this is a gimmick and the next issue it's going to be somebody different, or what. But I'm just so mad because they don't understand what they're doing with the characters. They don't understand where the characters come from. And I just don't get it, because like I said before, you wouldn't catch those 3 if you couldn't catch the other ones. They literally have humans with them. They have no fighting ability whatsoever. But you're able to catch Sabretooth, which is one of the most vicious killers ever. I mean, I would have believed this more if they just brought Omega Red back again and just had him going after them. Because this is just so stupid. And then you have Laura drawn like a man with no personality. You have Gabby drawn like Chucky from Child's Play. The story just basically goes nowhere for X-23, except she goes to see Muramasa. You have Dakin constantly getting punked when Dakin is like this psychotic killer. He was on the Dark Avengers. I mean, he almost ruined Wolverine's life a couple of times, pretending to be him. I mean, I don't get it. They don't understand where the characters come from. Everything is just their toys. It's like you give children very important objects and they don't know what to do with them, so they just goof around with them. And that's kind of what's happened here. This is not Wolverine, and it's just stupid at this point. And I like the last couple of issues, but this is a really bad mess up. But anyway, I mean, that's all I got to say about it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Tell me what you think about this video, and tell me what you think about all new Wolverine in general, because we're on issue 28, and I'm just really wondering how this has not been canceled. Like, it's pretty obvious that nobody's reading this, and the characters just are boring as crap. Gabby's the most interesting one, and she's drawn like some kind of Mongolian creature, and I don't really understand. But all right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Underground Geek out.